awakening-together.org. We are awakening together. Let things be exactly as they are. You can't change me, and you can't change God. So let things be exactly as they are. And you and me will live in peace. Hello and welcome. I'm Reverend Yolanda.
And I'm Reverend Glen Ganaway, Integral Mentor.
Together we host Awakening and A Course in Miracles,
an interfaith perspective.
This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary.
Free will does not mean that you could establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time.
The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance.
The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
So let things be exactly as they are. You can't change me, and you can't change God. So let things be exactly as they are. And you and me will live in peace.
My name is Reverend Glen Ganaway. I'm your favorite anarchist preacher, and I'm here to share with you A Course in Miracles. Yeah. Because I think A Course in Miracles is the best way for a modern mind to explore consciousness and remove the obstacles to what the Course says, love's your inheritance. Love is your inheritance. So what does that mean in a practical way? It means you deserve to be happy, you deserve to get what you want, and you deserve to be healthy, happy, joyous, and free. Right. And there's a way to practically do that and to physically feel it in physical form. Wow. And that way is managed through A Course in Miracles. So I'm really happy that you've decided to come here today and talk about means and ends. One of the most basic principles, in fact, the fact that she waits until chapter 20,
Helen Schuckman
who wrote A Course in Miracles.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The fact that Helen Schuckman and Jesus, because Jesus is the co-writer, or the writer and she's the scribe. She describes, she wrote down what the voice she had in her head that identified itself as Jesus told her to write down. And so there's a reason why the concept of means and ends, or matching means and ends, doesn't come until chapter 20.
Interesting.
Right? Because we're learning all the tools.
Right.
Like first you learn about how the world works. Then you learn that you have a place to play and a role in a something that is yours to do in the world, and it'll involve teaching peace. Right. But you'll need the whole community to help you do it, because you want to minister to the community and you want the community to be a part of your ministry. You want to minister to and give and share joy and creation with the community, and our communities are here to heal us as well. Right? So we do those things together.
Right, even those people you don't like are
in your community,
and they're there for a reason.
Right,
to help you heal, to help me heal,
to help
Glenn heal.
Yes,
we've been talking about that a lot lately. So
everybody is here for your healing. What is a friend for?
Yeah, for your healing. But what is an enemy for?
Your healing.
For your healing. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's very important to remember right now. Those people that we don't like, are important factors in moving us forward in our own personal growth. So you know, I know it's hard when we see all kinds of things,
really absolute craziness.
I know it is. It's absolutely crazy. And, you know, it's our calling to move through that and use our tools and to be more powerful beings on this earth, to do what is
to be examples of powerful beings.
Yeah.
I mean, we admire those people, right? Who, you know, who do you admire is a good way of understanding means and ends. What did they do? What did they physically do? What were all the things that they did that ended up with the result, or the personality, or the lifestyle, or whatever that you admire this person for?
Right.
If they, and this is the very particular lesson that we're going to look at today. So if you'd like to, you can start. We can look at look at all this.
Where are we?
Chapter 20. We're in chapter 20.
Okay.
And it is.
There we go.
Yeah. We're on chapter 20. It's called chapter 20 is called the vision of holiness, and that is re-entering the world. We just did the passing of the dream, which means the old world you can never go back to.
Right.
Once you wake up, or once you know better, you don't ever make those mistakes again if you really know better. Though
exactly.
that world of suffering is dead to you. It's ended. You buried it. Right? So that's the past. And what we're doing now is vision of holiness. So what's the opposite of that? Is looking forward and seeing the world as it is. Right. Now, seeing the world as it is means that you can know. Means that you know and act like heaven
on earth.
You're right here is here and now, and that you're an active participant in it. Yeah. Or like Miss Abraham says, a cooperative component.
Right. Some of y'all may know Abraham. We call her Miss Abraham. Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, who channels the entity Abraham. And she says, "Are you a cooperative component?"
That's how she starts her things. Are you a cooperative component? Are you enjoying the contrast?
Are you enjoying the contrast? That's a good.
It really is.
That's a good thing to grasp onto right now. You know, are you enjoying the contrast? Wow, it's quite a contrast these days. You know,
and if we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I sent you the link. And Dawn played it, but it was. So are you interested in being you? Is that something interesting that you want to do?
Are you interested in being you? Are you interested in being you? I hope you are, because you are very, very interesting
and important
to all of us.
Because we were raised that we have to grow up to be interesting. You know, we have to add something to us to be interesting. What I'm finding out, what the Course in Miracles is teaching me, is that I have an inherent goodness, an inherent holiness that if I'm operating from, I am happy and joyous and free. Right. And it's a relaxing into who I am. Right. And never an efforting to try to be good enough or
force something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
to be seen as something or deserve something, you know. What was funny to me, or what I discovered, another thing that I discovered this year was that, and I've been saying it a lot because it's so fun, because I've worked in a lot of government jobs where there's a lot of means testing, right? And to get into college, they test your intellect, they test your stuff, and you have to pass these tests in order to get into college. You have to meet this criteria in order to get financial aid. You have to meet this criteria to get a house loan or whatever like that. All of our society is merit-based, right? Like means tested, and everything like that. Well, God, reality, love, doesn't do that.
Right.
You don't have to be good enough for God to beat your heart, or to or to breathe your lungs. You know?
Once again, all the people, whether you like them or not, are here, and God is whatever your concept of God is, science, nature, like
has every right to be here just like you.
Exactly. We're all here together, and for a reason.
Yeah, which is the opposite of I need to eliminate you to be happy.
Right. Nobody has to be eliminated.
Right. There's no, or kept out or anything like that.
Right.
Right. Unless, so
there's
a look up the paradox of tolerance, and it'll tell you a little bit more about that.
That's interesting.
But we've talked a little bit about A Course in Miracles. Do you know how the Course in Miracles says it's supposed to be Supposed to be read?
Read. Yeah.
You know what you're supposed to do about how to use the Course in Miracles?
The workbook instructions.
I know. I'm leading up to your favorite part, where we do a little
we're going to do a little dance, sing a little song.
We're going to do rhythm speaking.
Yeah.
We're going to speak to the rhythm. What's that Grace Jones song? Slave to the rhythm. Slave to the rhythm. Yeah, disco children. That's exactly right.
Here we
So
go.
let's play. Introduction to A Course in Miracles workbook for students. The overall aim of the exercises is to increase your ability to extend the ideas you will be practicing to include
everything.
This will require no effort on your part. The exercises themselves meet the conditions necessary for this kind of transfer. Some of the ideas the workbook presents you will find
hard to believe,
and others may seem to be
quite startling.
This does not matter. You are merely asked to apply the ideas you are directed to do. You are not asked to
judge them
at all. You are asked only to
use them.
It is their use that will give them meaning to you and will show you that they are true. Remember only this. You need not
believe the ideas.
You need not
accept them.
You need not even
welcome them.
Some of them you may
actively resist.
None of this will matter or decrease their efficacy. But do not allow yourself to make exceptions in applying the ideas the workbook contains. And whatever your reactions to the ideas may be,
use them.
Nothing more than that is required.
On Facebook who's watching and has just joined us. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Marion, John, Phil, and Jen from England.
I know.
Wow.
Looks like you're doing the magic mirror thing. Remember Romper Room?
Yeah.
I see Jimmy.
I see John.
What do you see?
I see Jan. I see Jan.
And
I
Phil
see Jen.
and
I
Jen.
see Phil and Kathy and Marion.
So glad that you're here.
Yes, Kathy says use the ideas.
Use the ideas.
Them.
And because if you can use the ideas, you can see what happens when you know what are the results of these ideas. It's a scientific method, right? What are you doing? Are you creating the world that you want to live in? Right. Are you having the experiences that you want to have? And if you aren't, it's because you're not doing the things that create the
conditions.
I would say conditions for its arrival.
Right.
You know, for its presence.
And
conditions the conditions of peace.
Right.
Yeah.
The conditions of peace. And what I'm beginning to understand is that those conditions of peace can even be there if the outward circumstances are.
They're counterintuitive often.
Yeah, difficult. I mean, so I've been in a lot of physical pain this summer a lot, and the conditions for my peace are still available to me.
And I got very sick this winter.
Sick this past winter. Yeah. I mean, it sounds difficult.
I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
You know, I really am. I'm glad it happened. I had some habits, some personal habits and self-care habits that needed to change. But going through it, I didn't feel like I was doing things that were creating a crisis. Right. So the crisis happened, and it was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I can see now how I created this crisis for myself. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not offering you advice on why you're sick or trying to manage what the nature of your illness or anything like that. I'm saying this is what I did. This is how I used the Course in Miracles, and the Course in Miracles is available to you to understand the means that you're dealing with and what they build. Right. And they don't necessarily look like what we think they're going to look like.
Right. That was the point that I was trying to get to. It's not always 1, 2, 3, just how you think it's going to turn out. You know, circumstances can change and circumstances can be difficult, but that doesn't mean that you can't reach your goals, and that doesn't mean that you can't create peace in your life.
It's true. So I want to share a picture with you.
Oh, good. We're going to share.
I know. Let's do this. A portion of the screen.
Okay.
And we're going to show this.
Okay.
This is the share we're working with. It is the first picture and the first concept I want us to understand about the idea of means and ends is learning from somebody who knows more than you.
Oh gosh, that's so important.
Yeah, and can you even recognize somebody who knows more than you do? You know, and I'm an integralist, so there are lines of development, right? There are lines of, some people might be good at math, but not so good at social stuff.
Yeah,
that's a very common one. Or you can be really good at music and not be so good at cooking, or something like that. Or you can be a really great cook and a really good home and caregiver, but you just don't seem to be, like, you're colorblind and you can't match, or you can't decorate, or something like that. These are all just lines of development. That's why a community steps forward and fills all the niches of consciousness for us. You know, so you don't have to know everything.
Right.
But if you do want to learn something, and spiritual practices are something that we do learn. You can. I'm learning a mantra right now that I'm really looking forward to.
Yes.
I'm learning this mantra that's, I get to say fun things like habagang.
Habagang.
Yes, like, oh gosh, kid. Chakra Varti is the name of the mantra that I'm trying to. So you can look that up and sing along maybe sometimes, but it's fun. They're fun words to say. They're really abangang de rupe, saadang. You know, it's just fun to say. So I'm learning. So I'm learning it from people who know it. I'm learning it from people that have wrote melodies, several different melodies, to teach this mantra. And it's the mantra of letting light and intuition into your life, so you make good decisions.
What was the translation you were working with?
Light from 4 directions illuminates my path. And
beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, so that ties into learning from a mentor who knows more than you.
Mentorship is another good one. Yeah. Right. Mothers do this. Coaches do this.
Right.
And so teachers, and I'm also learning Excel at work, and I'm going to learning Excel and QuickBooks at work. So I'm from somebody who's really, really, really good at it. So I'm grateful for John and all of that. Yeah. But the second image here is it's called Light Body by an artist named R. Hirsch. And the painting was by Edward Henry Pothast, P-O-T-T-H-A H-A-S-T, Pothast. So you can look at Village Carpenter by Edward Henry Potash, and Light Body by R. Hirsch are the images today. So do we know who we are? This concept of means and ends would be simpler if we acted on who we are. That's what she says. The Course in Miracles says over and over and over again, if you knew who you are, you would make different decisions. Yes. And you would act differently if you really believed what these words are. If you believed the spiritual books, you would act differently. You would know differently, and you would behave differently, and consequently, you would experience a different world. When you're saying you, it's all about. Oh, it's we. Yeah. It's we. But I'm applying these ideas. When I apply these worlds, my world changes. Right. Your world doesn't change when I apply the ideas. Reality doesn't change because I apply the ideas. I am just able to experience it when I apply the ideas. Right. You can see it. Right. And I can't do that for you. Right. You
Everybody
have to discover how you do that. That's why in the beginning we say, whatever reactions you may have,
just use them.
Use those reactions.
Whatever your reactions to the ideas may be, use them. So, nothing more than that. So
try it.
Like Kathy is saying. Kathy is saying the artistry of ACIM you're practicing is the artistry.
Yes, you're practicing is the artistry of ACIM. So we are on chapter 20, and this is what it says, and I've highlighted for us, we have said much about discrepancies of means and ends and how these must be brought in line before your holy relationship can bring you only joy. Because joy happens when? In a relationship. Where's the only place joy can occur? In a relationship.
Yes.
But we also have said that the means to meet the Holy Spirit's goal will come from the same source as does his purpose. So think about this. Being so simple and direct, this course has nothing in it that's not consistent. The seeming inconsistencies are parts you find more difficult than others, are merely indications of areas where means and ends are still discrepant. And this produces a great discomfort. This need not be. This course requires almost nothing of you. It is impossible to imagine one that asks so little or could offer more. If you will understand this concept. So I wrote, in the world of form, we're interacting with others in a relationship, right? That's how we experience joy. Relationships are available to us because we appear in 2 different forms, or 3, or 5, or 7, or 9. That's the only way relationships are available, is if we have these forms to look at. Our happiness and fulfillment require us to work together. Do you see that? That our means and ends must be brought in line for you to have joy in your relationships. That means that you and I need to work together to build the world that we want.
Wow. Okay.
So
take a deep breath, everybody.
And here's the thing: the first question is, are you trying to do this alone?
Right.
You're trying to bootstrap it. You're trying to rage your algebra it, right, and make it on my own. You know, it's you and me against the world. Oh, it's you and me against the world.
All of those concepts.
I know. I did it all myself.
Well, that idea has really brain.
Everything I have, I did it myself.
No, that's not true. So really, we really need to, as a society, we really need to get this. You know?
And I'm asking us to think about a society a little bit differently. I'm asking us to think of a society more like an organism.
Oh, right, because an organism has all the cells that have to work together in order for it to be healthy.
You are a special, like your lungs can't do what your skin does.
Right. And it's fascinating to think of all the different cells in your body and that they know what to do. Like your toenails grow back, your hair grows back, you know, like all of that stuff. I mean,
you can heal without thinking about it.
Right.
You get a cut, cut yourself.
Cut yourself and you
don't have to think about it. You just have to stick around and keep
that is a great analogy for how community can work together.
And what we're finding, what's fun is, I love science and truth and facts and things, is that we're finding out that about 10% of our body weight isn't human DNA.
Oh, what do you mean?
It's other organisms.
Right.
You know, bacteria in your stomach and the spiders and stuff that live in your eyebrows.
What do you mean spiders?
We have these spiders that live in your eyebrows.
What do you mean
look this up. Look this up.
Well, Google what? What do we Google?
Our bodies, 10% of your body weight doesn't have human DNA in it.
I love it. Okay.
Or maybe 7%, 10%, something like that. That's so. We are a community.
Okay, let's all look that up.
I know. Dawn just said, "Okay, we're about to Google this." So no, Google it. I'm serious. Look it up.
All right.
So we are an ecosystem. We are a walking ecosystem. That's why we are bipedal. What we are is mostly water, salt water. We evolved out of the ocean, but we learned how to take a portion of the ocean with us. The ocean community that we needed to live with us.
Right.
We cannot live without viruses. Right. Viruses are the ways in which sperm cells are able to penetrate the wall of a human egg. You need virus DNA in order to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
we require on other beings in order to even to reproduce.
That is fascinating.
I know we don't do anything alone. Anything. Okay?
That's sort of, I mean, that just challenges everything that our society teaches us, you know.
I know.
That idea.
And that humans are on the top of this kind of
ladder.
Yeah.
When in actuality, like, we are also, you know, integrated.
As goes us, as goes the world.
Absolutely. That's why climate, all of it. We're all climate change.
And we're all responsible.
Everything. We're all responsible. We're all connected. Everything that happens.
We have the world we have because of the participation of all the people and things that are on it.
So register to vote.
And vote like I tell you.
All right. No. Okay.
So
anyway,
are you doing this alone is the first question.
That you have written.
Because your happiness and joy is going to come from a holy relationship.
Right.
So that's the concept. So the next paragraph.
Okay, just 1 second.
Sure.
I want, just for our Facebook friends and people that haven't tuned in to us before, so scroll back up and tell everybody where we are. We are in
Chapter 20.
A Course in Miracles, Chapter 20, Section 7. The section is called The Consistency of Means and Ends. The chapter is called The Vision of Holiness.
Chapter 20.
And Glenn and I spell holiness WHOLINES. Think of holiness as holiness. That's why we're talking about community and everybody needing each other. So what we're doing here is we're reading portions from the text, and then Glenn has written commentary. So that's how we're sharing with you today. Okay. So just so that people know.
Absolutely. The period of discomfort that follows the sudden change in a relationship from sin to holiness may be almost over. That's the contrast. We move from a relationship that's based in error and the past into one that's based in the truth and the now of this moment and our holy relationship that we need each other. To the extent you still experience sin, right? You are refusing to leave the means to him who changed the purpose. Your relationships now should be functioning different after you've woken up and you're applying the course, you're applying these principles. You recognize you want the goal. Now we're getting into it. You recognize you want the goal. Are you not also willing to accept the means to get what you want, right?
Okay.
If you're not, let's just admit that you're inconsistent. A purpose is attained by means. And if you want a purpose, you must be willing to want the means as well.
Wow. We had a really big discussion about this in line the other night in our live Wednesday night.
Do you want to do what it takes to wake up?
Well, do you want to do what it takes to do anything?
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you have a goal, even if it, if it's whatever it is,
I want to get more muscly.
Yeah. Well, you have to be willing to take the steps necessary to,
so I can't sit here. I can't binge on Netflix and eat cookies. And I've done that. And end up with a washboard stomach and complain that I can't fit in my clothes anymore.
Right. So I mean, that's a very basic example.
That's me. That's my stuff.
Right. And it's a very basic example, but it goes all the way across the board. If one is not willing to do the things necessary to achieve the goals that one wants, then one can't complain about the outcome.
Oh, yes, you can. We know lots of people that won't do that. I've complained and not done the work about why don't I have this when I haven't done the work that
Well, she goes on to tell us that she speaks to that in a little while.
Waking up and this is what I wrote. Waking up and looking within shows that we're not so different than other people.
Right.
I hope. We're now in a different relationship. It's like, oh, you're like me. We're both trying to do the same thing, acting on what we know is true. Builds the world that we want to experience.
Yeah.
We want to be happy, joyous, and free in an abundant world, right? Right? We do want to be happy, joyous, and free in an abundant world. But specifically, that's different for each and every one of us. Each of us experience and have that vision differently. So, be honest. Can you be honest with this next question? What do you want?
Let's all take a deep breath.
What do you want?
What do
you want?
See, that question right there is so hard for so many of us to answer.
Because the first thing I'll bet you, if you're in is what your parents want for you.
Yeah, or what you were told you were supposed to want.
Or it's limit what you can want or even desire is limited by your race, your economic status, your gender, or your access to capital or resources. You can't even desire or want something. There's limits to it.
So what's your response to that conditioning?
That she wants us to differentiate between the wanting an experience and wanting a thing.
Okay.
Because the world will tell you, the world will tell you, culture will tell you, the hegemony will tell you, and often your parents will offer a role, or society will offer a role, which is also a thing, right? A job, it's a task, instead of connection and collective creation.
Right. Okay.
Now, if you're honest, what you want is to connect with others and create something together.
Right. So really what we're after when you say, what do you want? What we're really after is an experience, not necessarily a thing, although the thing...
means and ends.
Yeah. Well, although the thing is so in order to have the experience, you have to sometimes have a physical goal to go for, right?
Sure.
So
physical things aren't the problem.
No, of course.
It's believing they have agency and are going to make us happy.
Right.
You can have whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's not what happiness is.
No, we see some strange looking people walk around Bay Ridge.
Like me.
I mean, we're part of that strange thing.
Exactly.
But we live in a really, really, really body conscious neighborhood.
We do.
Okay, so think about what we're using the means for. What are you doing? What are we physically and actively doing and pursuing? Because believe it or not, those are the means to a end. And not knowing what the end is causes us to choose poor means.
Okay, explain that a little more.
We do a lot of things and don't get bad at the results.
Right.
Like I was talking about the eating chips and cookies on the thing instead of working out. I want washboard abs, so I have to go do the washboard abs thing.
To the gym. Yeah.
I do things that create washboard abs.
Right.
I'm not making washboard abs better than anything else.
Right.
I'm expressing a desire for to experience washboard abs. That means I have to do things that allow for that to happen.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So if I don't get the results. Right?
Oh, look, we've got some cute comments over here. Lisa again, Jimmy says, love you. Hi, Lisa. And Indira Felix says, I love what you guys talk about and would love to have a spiritual pajama party with you two. I resonate so much with what you have to share. I love how open-minded you are. Non-judgmental and free. Love you. Mwah.
All right.
Thank you.
So we're going to get one more question here. I'm thinking to play a song.
Yeah.
To obtain the goal, the Holy Spirit indeed asks little. He asks for no more to give than the means as well. Means are second to the goal. I'm going to say that again. Okay. Means are second to the goal. And when you hesitate, it's because the purpose frightens you, not the means. Remember this, for otherwise you'll make the error of believing the means are difficult.
Okay.
Yet how they can be difficult is if they're merely given to you. The guarantee of the goal, they are perfectly in line with it. Before we look at them a little closer, remember that if you think that they're impossible, your wanting of the purpose has been shaken. For if the goal is possible to reach, this is how practical she is. She says, if a goal is possible to reach, the means to do it
so must be possible as well. That is so great. That is so practical. If a goal is possible to reach. Well, let's read it again. If a goal is possible to reach, the means to do so must be possible as well. It is not impossible to reach your goals, but you have to be willing to do the means to reach the goals.
Right. And primarily that involves changing your mind about who you are.
Right.
And changing your mind about who you are causes you to act differently and your world to change. And to get support from people that also are on that path with you, your mighty companions, is the key. And the goal is is sharing your gift with the world.
Yeah.
So what's your goal? What do you want? I want to experience sharing my gift with the world.
I do too.
You know? And
Yeah.
I think we all do. Results follow from actions, right?
From the actions that create them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an important statement to read top to bottom. Now, this is Glen's statement.
This is what I wrote about this concept. Results follow from actions that create them, no matter the system or the hegemony.
Right.
But the simple small steps lead to a result. A mountain can be moved with enough spoons. A lake can be filled with enough pebbles. So the question I have for you before we go into this song is, are your goals so impossible that you will not work for them? That's what she talks about. It goes, what we're really afraid of is being all powerful, acting and experiencing ourselves as powerful as God says we are. Yeah. So that'd be kind of frightening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, we're afraid of our light.
We're afraid of our light, not our darkness. Is your light the frightening thing? You know, Ms.
Williamson. Yeah.
So, are your goals so impossible that you will not work for them?
Sometimes we think that.
I know I can't be in love. I can't experience, I can't have a boyfriend. I can't be in love. Or I can't have a home. I can't have a family. No one, I can't have I can't have a good job, whatever, I can't, I can't. And I've been guilty of this as well. It's one of my core things. It's like, I can't have what I want.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to take a little break. We're going to play some music. But first, I want to acknowledge our Facebook friends. Tom Glode is here, and he's asking what we're reading from. We're reading from A Course in Miracles, chapter 20, section 7. And you can find that online, or maybe if you have your book, you can do that. But that's what we're reading from, and we're going to go back to in just a second. Right now, I wanted to share with you a song that I wrote based on A Course in Miracles lesson, God Has Condemned Me Not, which we just studied a few days ago. And for our friends on Zoom, we're going to play a video, YouTube video.
But you can hear it.
But you can also hear it, our friends on Facebook. And if you happen to be on my Facebook page, I have the video on my page. So this particular video was just recently made in July when I visited Omaha, Nebraska, and the UCC Church in Omaha, Nebraska, in the Interfaith Campus, this wonderful place in Omaha, Nebraska, where there's a UCC church, a synagogue, and a mosque, all on the same
one
campus, all celebrating together, each having their separate services, but celebrating holidays and special events together and raising their children together, all in the attempt to create an interfaith community that loves and respects each other. So within that framework, which I was, hallelujah, within that framework, they asked me to sing this song called God Has Condemned Me Not. And this is the video from the Sunday morning service.
And that is also a lesson.
Yes, which I just said. Yeah, it was a few days ago. It was this week, I believe.
Yeah, here we go.
So here it is. God Has Condemned Me Not.
God has condemned me not. God has condemned me not. God has condemned me not. No more do I. No more do I was mistaken realize the source from which I came. My holiness remains. Your holiness remains. All the mistakes we made are simply illusions. Let's let them go today and receive God's word. Let's trust in God's word. Love which created me is what I am. I seek no more today. Love has prevailed. God has condemned me not. God has condemned you not. God has condemned us not. No more do I. No more do I.
Give us a wee doggy.
Wee doggy!
How are you?
Okay.
All right, I'm.
We're back.
This is the love of my life, the incredible Reverend Yolanda, and
Howdy.
I am Glen Ganaway, your favorite anarchist preacher,
Yes,
here to
you are.
tell you why A Course in Miracles can change your life if you'll do the dirty work of applying the ideas.
Right. Well, and
Right.
there we go. That's what we're talking about.
And it's
today.
messy. It can be very messy work,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because when I apply the ideas, it hurts my feelings sometimes
Oh.
because I'm discovering that I have a belief that's not true.
Mm.
You know, and it's like,
Mhm.
you know, I was hurting myself or I was hurting somebody, but I didn't understand this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the question today is like, we're talking about means and ends.
Mhm.
So if you're actively participating in something, whether it's an institution or you know, work or a relationship, specifically speaking of relationships, are your relationships creating the world that you want?
Right.
Do you participate and conduct your relationships in ways that give you the experience of peace on earth?
Mm. Mm. And I just want to say the song that we just played that I recorded and performed is based on A Course in Miracles lesson, God has condemned me not, which just flows into what we're talking about, because the lesson says, all the mistakes I made are simply illusions. I let them go today, and I receive God's word. I trust in God's word.
Mm-hmm.
Love, which created me, is what I am. I seek no more today. Love has prevailed.
All right. So in this next paragraph, we're on what? Paragraph 4 or 5? 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, we're on the third paragraph. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that?
Okay, tell everybody where we are again.
Chapter 20, section 7.
Okay.
To obtain the goal, the Holy Spirit indeed asks little. He asks no more to give, and his means as well. Means are secondary. Oops. Okay, the goals weren't working. That's the one we just did. It is impossible to see your brother as sinless and look upon him as a body. A thing. Right. It's not perfectly consistent. Is this not perfectly consistent with the goal of holiness? Holiness is merely the result of letting the effects of sin be lifted. So what was always true is recognized. To see a sinless body is impossible, for holiness is positive, and the body, listen to this, the body is merely neutral. It's not sinful. Neither is it sinless. As nothing which it is, the body cannot meaningfully be invested with the attributes of Christ or the ego. Either must be in error, for both would place the attributes where they cannot be, and both must be undone for the purposes of truth.
Okay, this could be a very tricky. This is a very tricky.
I know, that's why I slowed down, because
Right.
this is one of the things that, of course, that
some people really
the
misunderstand.
body piece in the Course of Miracles is has been weaponized by folks in the past. So I wrote, it's difficult sometimes to see past our form.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Animals and plants have forms, and we have trouble treating them with the same respect as ourselves.
That's a good point.
People that are shaped and colored and gendered differently are essentially form,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're looking and judging and comparing
Mm-hmm.
forms.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, how well do you see past the form to the creator of the form? Do you see the thing, the idea, the living? Do you see the living thing in front of you, or do you see the form it's producing?
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Do you see what is living and alive and vibrant and interested and alive and aware in somebody or something, whether it's a bug or a cat or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you see and judge the desirability of the form? We have bodies, and we'll use them to create the experience that we want through the authentic expression of our spirit, or we'll tie them to the creation of more form. Nature doesn't care what we look like. It reacts to what we do. Means and ends. You plant a tree grows.
Right. Yeah.
God's no different. So the question is, God doesn't care about what you look like.
Mm-hmm.
God doesn't care how you're gendered or what you do with your gender. The question is, what do you do? How do you move in the world? Do you move in the world as a spirit that is expressing through form, or are you your body? Just your body, your gender, your race, your class.
Yeah. So, are we caught in this form, or do we understand that we are more than just this form?
Our form is, I would offer, is our art.
Ah, very good. I like that. Yes. Our form in this world is our artistic expression.
All material existence is art.
A form of art. Yeah.
Art.
I like that. Yeah. Because that's what we are. We're artists in this material expression.
Alrighty. What is real this is what I wrote to the conclusion today. What is real will never be in form. It'll never be in form that represents itself as a body.
Human or otherwise.
Yeah. What is real will never be in form that presents itself as a body, human or otherwise. Comparing and judging requires forms and shapes and weights and measures that God doesn't possess. And so that system is illusional. It's not without merit. because you do want to measure how much sugar you put in the cookies or how much vanilla or how much things. Measures are really, really, really important, okay? But they don't contain happiness. They don't contain agency. They don't contain living. They're the means, they're the means to something else. You can determine what that else is. So, forms allow us to hide what we don't want to be judged by the hegemony by. Do you get that?
Yeah, that's sort of mysterious sounding.
Okay. We're not rich or skinny or hip enough to be valuable or useful in the world. The marketplace will tell us we always have to change in order to be valuable.
Okay, so you're talking about the system that is in place, which you're calling the marketplace, which is always trying to sell us something and always trying to get us
you need to change your form in some way.
Right.
You need to be lighter skinned or thinner or more, or live in a different place, or have this label,
have more money,
or have more money, or have this accent, or don't have this accent, or have this, or don't have this, or be shaped like this, or don't be shaped like this, or whatever it is.
And all of that is an effort to keep you caught up in this cycle of materialism.
And the belief that you're a body,
and the belief that you're
only a body, and your
we
value.
have to say only
a body.
Yeah.
Yes, only a body. Your belief that you're only a body, and that your only value to the world and others, and in a relationship, is your body. You can only offer your body in a relationship. You know, relationships mean you're in a relationship with somebody's body.
Right. There's more to it. Than that. More to it.
A lot more dense than that.
Right.
Right.
But the body is part of it.
All right.
So
let's wrap this up.
Okay.
Form allows us to hide what we don't want. Okay. There are two systems, in fact. Either we are creating more of what is real, beauty and joy and peace, or we're creating more of what is illusory, comfort and privilege. So, last question here, and I'll leave you with this question. Are your efforts creating the life you want to experience? Are your efforts creating the life that you want to experience?
Wow.
They might be. They might not be. But I can tell you that A Course in Miracles will help you answer that question. So
and we are all practicing. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us in this discussion. You're on my Facebook page and on Glen's timeline. I'm seeing some really great interactions. Thank you for being respectful. And we're at our time limit for today. Thank you, Awakening Together, and all of our Zoom friends. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
I'm not this body that you see. I am as God created me.
And you've been listening to Awakening and A Course in Miracles with Reverend Yolanda and Reverend Glen. I'm Reverend Yolanda, and you can learn more about me and join my mailing list, listen to my music, and much, much more at www.yolanda.net.
You can learn more about me and join my mailing list and listen to my podcasts at www.glenganaway.com.
Together we are
The Mighty Companions,
an edutainment ministry whose purpose is to co-create community that inspires us all to live the calling of Spirit.
with ACIM as the primary guide. We co-create worship, entertainment, gatherings, lectures, and workshops.
You can find out more at www.themightycompanions.com.
This has been brought to you by Bearded Lady Productions, LLC.
That's Bearded Lady Productions, LLC.com.
And you and me will live in peace. Let things be exactly as they are. You can't change me, and you can't change God. So let things be exactly as they are. And you and me will live in peace. Kumbaya.
Awakening-together.org. We are awakening together.
Alrighty, that's the show. Thanks, y'all. Good night. Bye.
Thank you so much. That is the Mighty Companions, Reverends Glen Ganaway and Yolanda Mates. I tell you, I still love that song, and it's one of those songs you love having stuck in your head. It's a spiritual lesson. Let
things be exactly as they are. You can't change me, and you can't change God. So let things be